I'm live now. Ready to go live? We are live now. Okay, we are live.
That's
Okay,
fantastic.
Sana,
So,
all yours. Yeah,
okay, wonderful. Thanks, Vikram, and good afternoon and welcome, everyone. I'm Sana from Blue Bricks, your cybersecurity partners. And today's LinkedIn Live event is on EKYC Pitfalls. It's a very talked about word right now, and we'd be just doing a bit of a deep dive into the things that you need to watch out while getting a new solution for it. Okay, so in today's session, we'll be covering a bit on market trends, some security tips, and as I said, a bit of a deep dive into EKYC pitfalls. Okay, so Verizon has come out with a report talking about data breaches. So when you go through it, um, if you look at the details, as it shows that humans really are the weakest link in this space. So, not to say that there is a malicious intent or anything. However, we are more likely to give our credentials out or give out information, through social networks that's asked in a twisted way, or share passwords or do things like that. So that is just something that we do need to be watchful about, do need to be a bit more mindful about that, and include systems that can help fortify our security posture. Yeah, so this report, I believe, we'd be sharing on
yeah,
our LinkedIn page. So here in Australia, in Western Australia, the Belmont Business Enterprise Centre, they had an event yesterday where Vikram was a speaker along with Firoz Sodi, and Vikram shared his 10 tips on cybersecurity. So that report will be out soon as well, and we'll be sharing it on our LinkedIn page. So please keep a lookout for that. We'll be sharing it. Your likes and
yeah.
sharing would be,
And it's
really
not just
nice.
me. It's another a lot of amazing security experts. So this it's 1001 security tips. So it's an amazing report. I've
Yes.
just added my 10, but there is a lot more amazing stuff. Yeah,
Yes, there was a very good session yesterday. A few shout outs from our side. Datum System from Nepal is now our partners. So we're going through to a lot of banks and financial institutions in Nepal through Datum Systems. Infobip and Bluebricks are technology partners. And if you're looking at dark web API security scans, of ImmuniWeb, you can get that through Bluebricks as well. And
yeah.
and now I'd be giving it over to Vikram for talking about EKYC pitfalls. As I said, it's a very, very talked about word nowadays, and especially because of COVID. KYC is important, but COVID is forcing us to do things in a more digital way. So here are just the few things that we need to be mindful of. So over to you, Vikram.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sana. I think most of the companies now are looking at eKYC. So the first thing I wanted to do was that just throw in the right terminology. Know your customer, know your business. KYC and KYB have been there. We have been doing it physically. Where somebody walks to your branch or to your office, and then you fill out the forms, ask them to show their ID. And now it has actually gone into eKYC, which is electronic KYC, VKYC, which is video KYC, CKYC is centralized KYC, and DKYC is digital KYC, or D is also for blockchain, like moving it to the blockchain part. So there are a lot of types of KYCs which are coming in. There is no, bias that which one is right or wrong. It's just the way we look at it. Then when we talk about KYC, it's fundamentally two things. One is that you will have a customer identification problem, like who are you, where you're coming from. So it would be your ID, your face, and things like that. And then what you do is you do, IDV, which is identity verification. Now that could be done from another system or central system or things like that. And then at the end of the day, what we are trying to do is that we are doing a due diligence that yes, this is the right person who's doing that. And if there is something enhanced that you have to do because of certain compliance that you have to follow, so that is what is called as enhanced due diligence, which is mostly offline, but it picks up from eKYC and then moves to that. And then because if you're especially talking about financial institutes, then they would be looking at AML as well as PIP, which is anti-money laundering, so AML, and politically exposed people. So because of your business, you might not be allowed, or you might be allowed to do I would say allow users from different boundaries or different countries to do business with you or be customers. So over there, PIP as well as AML becomes relevant. Yeah. Okay. And not spending too much time. There are different models of so-called eKYC that are happening globally. So Australia, Malaysia have a different way of doing things, which is a bit more relaxed. Germany and India and Sweden, they are doing it differently, where it's a video call based. So you have to get on a call, and then you have to be alive. You show documents, stuff like that. And then obviously 2+2 customer due diligence, or a new way which UK is pushing it out, is that where you ask one company, another company, if you have a customer, and share that data and then take it ahead. So blockchain based becomes very useful in item number 4. None of them is right or none of them is wrong. They all are based on what the regulators and I would say your business demands for. So if you're a bank, you might look at differently. If you're a peer-to-peer lending, you might look at differently. If you're a small legal company, you would look at it differently. So what fits you has to be defined in a very clear manner. So this is just a slide to show you that everybody has their own way. This is how Australia and Malaysia look at it. Quite straightforward. India is a bit more strict. So this slide shows that what all they are asking from their regulatory or so-called compliance part. And now obviously what you would do is that you would say, okay, hey, I need to find a partner. So you would have certain questions which would be whether it's cloud-based, on-prem, whether it is how quick is to deploy, what are the third-party involvements that needs to be there, what are the features that are there. So you would, or you should have a list of features that are there. So why I'm sharing this with you is that because this is a complex problem to solve. Like, how do you onboard your customers? And this is something that you have to look at it. Like, what is your need and all that. So I'll talk about this later also. But you would have that, and then you would possibly say, okay, hey, you know what? I will have a eKYC platform, whether it's over the cloud or on-prem, and then you would or pick out the specific features that you want, which could be handwritten, which could be showing them a photo, face, things like that. And then you would possibly say, okay, I need to have some, automation or AI, ML playing a role to actually, help me solve this problem, automated maximum. And then, you would let an operator or an agent to make a decision, looking at all the data, looking at all the risk. And then you're saying, okay, whether I allow the person to open it or not do it. So CDD or EDD, whichever way, you would go ahead for. At the end of the day, this is how it would look like. You would have a self-service based, or you would possibly have a agent-based approach, which could be a video call, which could be liveliness, show your face, show your ID, stuff like that, show consent form. So again, it's a mix and match of various checks and data points that will help you to build the right solution. So you would say, okay, I want to do this, or I want to do that, or you can possibly do both as a company. Again, it depends on what velocity you want, what kind of regulations you have and all that. Now, I want to jump into where it goes wrong. So when you're doing this, most of the time, what happens is that we get overwhelmed with, I have big customers, large customer base. So I might want to do too little to address to the problem of KYC, or I might go too much overboard and I do too many things and I want to fix that problem. So secondly is the data capturing part, like how do you facilitate that? And then we put too many checks, which obviously become an issue when we want to automate that. And lastly, it depends on the I would say the staff that is actually being handling that. So either you're doing too much or you're doing too little. That's one of the most fundamental problem. And what are you trying to solve it with? Is it AKYC, VKYC, KYB? What exactly you're trying to solve? Then the second is that we expect users to do a lot. We expect our customers to do a lot. Now, we ask them too many things. It's very frictionful. I think the last report said that, especially in Europe, they are asking so many things now that there's a 22% chances that the person shies away to give so much data to, especially to fintechs and other companies, which are not banks or not entities they trust, because the first time they're engaging with them and you're asking so many things, so the people shy away. Then the UI experience is not that good, and then lastly, it sometimes redirects you to a third-party provider for eKYC. Suddenly you're on on a bank's page, and now you're redirected to another application. People are like, no, am I going through a phishing attack? So we expect users to do too many things, and I think that is one of the biggest pitfalls right now. So again, this is something that you have to look at very, very closely. Second is islands. Now, in any organization, you have many applications. So, like for example, in a bank, you would roughly have around 40 to 80, applications that would be running. Few would be customer facing, few would be internal, but ownerships is different. Now, because of that, what happens is that each party is trying to do a different, uh, you know, onboarding part. Now that creates islands, and these islands are not sharing data, they are not talking to each other. And that is one of the biggest problems right now, that there are too many islands and nobody's talking to each other. So obviously, you eventually land up as a manual process, or you do waste, a lot of effort trying to, get things done or sorting it out. Like my personal experience has been that I opened an account with a bank and I wanted to get a loan, and they asked me all the data again, and did the eKYC separately, video KYC, and I was like, I have already done this. Why are you asking me to do it again? Right? So that was a bit of a personal experience, which I felt that does it. And from our learning, yes, a lot of customers and partners we deal with, there is a problem of these islands, and that has to be solved or resolved. And it's too costly. The cost of eKYC over the last 3 years has actually gone up by almost 30%. Now, one of the key reasons is that we are trying to bring too many features. Secondly, the billing is per API. Now, that is a bit of a bomber, because if you have small set of customers, you're fine. But if you're building something where your customer acquisition is open-ended, so people can come and open a free account, but in the background, you're still paying for all those APIs, all those calls. So it becomes costly. So can you look at something which is, doesn't have a, like a exponential, cost? Does it have a ceiling? And there is no huge upfront, commitment or cost that is there. And then lastly, obviously, if you have different apps, different eKYC requirement, so you obviously land up spending more because everything is separate. So can you look at one? And this is one of the most important parts. The cost of compliance and cost of eKYC is shooting up a lot, based on the business model that is being offered. So I think you need to look at, an interesting business model and demand, your suppliers like, okay, hey, can you work with me on this particular business model, on-prem or cloud? Again, I think most of us know this. Regulations especially on eKYC, are changing quite a bit all the time. JP Morgan was penalized huge amount of fines. I think it was almost touching $1 billion for them not complying with a specific local eKYC for a specific thing, because they are a big MNC. They had a system, but that did not comply with the specific local KYC laws. So they ended up paying a lot of penalty. So you have to look at in micro, what exactly your customers are coming from, which regions are you catering for, if you're catering globally or regionally or nationally, and then based on that you need to actually take it ahead. So it's a bit of a challenge to do that, but you have to follow it, because if you don't do it, it will attract a lot of penalties. And the third item, which is the reports which are coming from these eKYC, are very static and very fixed. And now that itself is a bit of a problem, because you're not able to do the blending or do the merger and actually use it in your own way. So API-driven access to the report or data would be a much better way of doing it. But this also makes you fall back to a manual way of doing it. So again, a very delicate and thin balance between how we want to handle this. Next is data storage. Now, data breaches, have been part and parcel of life now. I think in last 2 years, you have seen huge exponential, reports saying that, data breaches have increased. And I think COVID has definitely, amplified that. But from an eKYC point of view, if you're regulated, let's say, in your country where, you want to use eKYC, platform, but that is using third-party, facial or Azure or Google, or any other third-party platform for facial OCR, video calling, and things like that, then the data gets copied over there, or data has is present over there, which is your identity data. Now that becomes a bit of a problem. So where is the data? What needs to be replicated, where it is getting replicated, how it's getting shared, that part. And the other part is the joint ownership of data breaches. So let's say in case there is a data breach happening in a third party, so is your vendor actually going to tell you that, okay, that is what happened there, so your data got leaked out? So this is one of the key hot topics right now being discussed, that with the identity data, should I have an on-prem solution that should solve my problem, or should I have a cloud system that should solve my problem? But then what is the ownership of data, or of breaches, and what implication it can have? So that's a very, very hot discussion right now. And then obviously you have to look at your Privacy Act as well as its impact, to decide and define, what exactly is happening. Next is in-house. Great way of doing it. If you have the right skills, you can do it, but it's a good way of doing it because you could control many things. You could, make it bespoke. You can do a lot of, customization to suit all your applications. But the problem over there is the expense part. So you are going to buy some software, bring it together. Your people will need to be trained with the AI ML if they're trying to solve the OCR or facial or risk assessment problems and all that. The problem of eKYC is not like, okay, like I just show the face, show the OCR, do a hand return, do a video call, it will get solved. It actually is a much complex problem where once you have these data points giving you the data, then you have to correlate that. You have to build a context around it and then give a score around it and say that, okay, what should be done next? So to do this, a company would actually, a product would has to be at least 12 to 18 or 2-year mature product, which will be able to handle something like this. So if you want to do it in-house, it's fine. You can choose the technologies, you can look at the risk associated with that. But the people churn and then the management aspect for something like this is a bit of a Herculean task. So this sometimes becomes a showstopper because you want to do it in-house, but it becomes a problem because of the people or the technology or the complexity that is involved over there. So that's something which should be a consideration, going forward. Poor risk assessment. So many times what happens is that if you are not bringing in the risk assessment part in your KYC or clubbing it together, you might have an old one running right now. In that way, what you're doing is that you are your evaluation of whether it's a mule account being used or whether it's a bad agent being doing the wrong onboarding, those get missed out. And because they get missed out, your risk becomes much higher. And because your risk becomes much higher, that means that your whole eKYC collapses. So bringing in the right checking with multiple risk, checking whether it's a mule account or not, bringing in the PIP check or CTF check, these are very, very critical. But underlining risk assessment, which you have to build in-house or which you have to evaluate in-house using a product or whichever way, is a very, very critical way that is right now not being connected. So let's say if you use a Jumio's onboarding model, but then it does not give you that ability to link back to your system. So if you really want to do it right, your eKYC and your risk RBA should talk together very well. Your AML and PIP should talk together very well, transactional monitoring, and that should be able to give you a complete solution as one whole. I'm sounding very wordy, Sana, but this is what we have learned. Yeah. And again, I think looking at the previous part, you still have, the people cost, training people is hard. Recruitment, obviously, in today's world is impossible, almost impossible. And then obviously, if you want to outsource, then what you can outsource and how you'll monitor it. So I think the people aspect also is very critical when it comes to bringing in this, kind of consolidated, KYC, where you are building this particular new way of doing things as regulators are demanding, but it's a difficult problem to solve because of the people aspect also. So this is something I think that has to be looked upon. Again, I think summing up, these are the kind of pitfalls that you would be looking into, from compliance to third party to the cost aspect, also the people aspect in terms of customers as well as your employees, the trained staff or untrained staff, then whether to do it in-house, how do you handle your data, whether you're doing right risk evaluation or not. So all these things kind of, make it very, very complex. Again, it's a complex problem, but it's not that you can't solve it. So that's what, I'll just try to sum it up in one way, how a company should approach it. To keep it very simple, I think any big organization, if they have a specific department for handling this, or a small company, let's say a legal company or a health company or a startup who wants to do this, firstly, I think they have to have a clock, which is after every 3 to 6 months, they should look at what regulators and compliance is asking for. Second is that they should try to bring all the departments and application owners into one room and say that, okay, hey, what exactly are you doing in terms of your eKYC aspect or customer onboarding? And also, more importantly, what exactly do you need? Because regulators have asked this or compliance has asked this, or because we are a global company, so we have to cater for multiple, compliance and regulations. So how do we do that? Then obviously list down the need as well as the, the wish list. Like, this is the need because of, as a business, which I have to do. And then this is the wish list. Oh, wish, this was a good thing. Especially reports are a very, very important aspect. Or, ability to talk to other systems is very important aspect. Then after that, first thing first is that we should put the mobile and customer first, as a customer experience as a first way of, looking at it if you're rolling out new or if you're upgrading, in that way. And then after you have done all this, you should be able to say, okay, hey, now I think I can identify a product that is able to help me, with onboarding and also my identity verification. So doing CDD or EDD, and what way I should be able to identify my customer and also do the verification identity, right? And this practice should be reviewed after every 3 to 6 months, based on cost, based on time that is being taken, based on the reports that you're getting, based on A and B testing that you would do, and that would help you to evolve with time, because eKYC, like any other system, digital system, is going to evolve with your need. So you might say that, hey, what if I bring in video calling, but I only bring in video calling towards the end of my flow, if the person has a very low score. So things like that would help out. Or what if, why don't I ask them to show a consent form, because that eliminates, any kind of mule accounts that are being used. What if, I was able to re-eKYC, my customers for the second app or the third app that they're using, or after 2 years, by just sending a push notification on the phone and then getting the job done. So your eKYC will evolve over time as you go along. So that's where I would like to sum it up. That if you follow this, as a regular 3 or 6 month exercise, you should be able to make your eKYC work to your best, with whatever applications and departments that you are working together. So that's what I would like to share. And back to you, Sana. Anything you want to specifically ask me, or any questions that popped up?
No, thank you so much, Vikram. That was quite concise and it definitely covers a lot. And as I said, eKYC is something that most organizations, at least, it's not just banks, it's also hospitals, onboarding patients, it's also a lot of the gaming websites that could, want to get on board people just over a certain age, so it's one module, but it definitely has a lot of applications. And it's definitely the way to go forward, because physically meeting people is going to be a bit more difficult going forward. So it's really good to cover all the pitfalls that we need to watch out for while going
and
for
these are, I think, Sana, one part we forgot to mention was that actually this is coming from two aspects. One is that when we are talking to our partners and our clients, we actually do an in-depth, like a questionnaire, and we sit with them for a day or so, and really try to understand what exactly do they want to achieve. So that last slide which I was showing you is something that we help, our partners and
100%.
our clients,
100%.
to help out.
Because
So this is something which
yes,
we do and figure it out, what's happening.
that's that's the key, because every organization is different. The way their systems work is very peculiar to just how how that organization works, what information they need. So it just cannot be like a one standard fixed module that you have to just go and push in, just somehow make it work with the client. It definitely, systems are supposed to work, according to what exactly is needed. They're there to facilitate people. So it's very important, and it's I think it's great that we sit and have that session with our clients, where we understand what is their requirement, why do they need it, and what would be the best fit for them. Because end of day, that's that's what's
Yeah,
that's what's
yeah.
going to make
And
it work.
I think all the tech is there. So from facial to OCR to video calling,
Yes.
all the third party banks which can databases which can actually do real time checks for your identity. APIs for talking to specific regulators is also there. So all the tech is there. It's just that what suits you the best and how you wanna evolve, right? Is a very
Mm.
critical question, because sometimes many companies try to follow others and try to do too much, and then they realize, oh no, I don't need to do this much because it's not suiting my business, right? Or my process or my system. So that's a bit of a big pitfall, and I
Yes.
think people have been one of the big issues, because uh, customers, they are, for them you are one of the choice, right? So that
Mm.
is one of the key things. And secondly, for employees, also you are giving them more work, so the compliance team, and then their regular training, with the ever evolving compliance, as well as internal aspects. So it's a very very a difficult part to handle. But if you set the right processes around it, if you set the right plan around it, the technology is there. It's just that it has to be used in the right way to solve the
Absolutely.
eKYC problem. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Shall we close this
Thank-
broadcast? Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much, Vikram, for for your insights. That was really wonderful, and
Yeah.
we're looking forward to our next session. We already do have some things that we're planning, and we'll be sharing them soon. So excited to see you all next time. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you all. Yeah.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.